Hello, I am Xarkun. This is World of Warships Legends. On the screen here you see my build for Mikhail Kedrov, level 14. Got level 16 Cunningham and level 16 Hyde as inspirations. This is the commander I have chosen to helm the Tier 5 Russian battleship Izmail. In the following game, we're going to be on Ring Domination mode. And this is a video that I've been meaning to make for a little while, because I've seen a number of people say that they find this particular ship, the Ismail, tricky to play. I think I generally know what I'm doing with it, so I've got some tips for you that may help you if you are one of those people who finds this ship tricky to play. So I want to say a little bit about the commander build you just saw. That is the build that I would recommend for pretty much the entirety of the Russian battleship line, Ismail included. Now I realize some of you may not have Hyde to use as an inspiration. I would definitely recommend Cunningham as one of the inspirations. And then for the second, if you don't have Hyde, who gives you more hit points, and really this build is tailored more for the Sinop and Vladivostok than it is for the Ismail, and that's why Hyde is on there. But if you don't have Hyde, there are some other good choices for battleship inspirations. Von Essen, the Russian Dewey, if you will, might be a pretty good choice. His base trait improves the minimal ricochet angles of the ship's shells, which gives them a better chance to penetrate more angled targets. Not like a huge difference or anything, but it's something that can help you. And Jojo, another inspiration that you might use if you don't have Hyde, or if you do want the hit points, you could use Sims. There's a lot of choices that you could take, but the point of the Kedrov build here is the survivability skills that Kedrov has. Now, I think a lot of people might be inclined to use Galler instead, who would provide more of your traditional accuracy build. You know, he's got flammable, cannoneer, and marksman. That is not something I think you need on the Ismail. The guns are very accurate, especially at ranges of 10 kilometers or closer. We haven't spec'd into accuracy pretty much at all with this build. All we have is the Cunningham inspiration and aiming systems mod 1 in the first mod slot, and you can see just how reliably accurate these guns are. We've got nice shell groupings, great dispersion, and we're able to reliably hit our targets at close range. So we're about to take out this Laga over here. I think all we need is one of the turrets to be reloaded and then fired. And he's gonna die. We don't even look. There he goes. First blood award. First kill. We're up to 41,000 damage. So, Kedrov is who I would strongly recommend for this line of battleships. Why? He's got Master Mechanic, which is going to give you at least 1 extra heal. 2, if you get him up to level 16. All these Russian battleships have only 2 heals standard. So having an extra 1 or 2 is a pretty big deal. It's going to be very helpful to you, and you're not going to get that with Galler. Second reason is Kedrov also has the fire prevention skill, which makes it less likely for the ship to be lit on fire, and also limits the number of fires that you can have burning at one time on the ship from 3 to 4. And the armor on this ship is pretty solid. I find that the HE spam from the cruisers, when it hits you, they aren't going to get a lot of HE shell penetrations through this armor. It's too thick for that. I don't know exactly what the values are, but that's the same story pretty much across the entire Russian battleship line. They've got good armor that the HE shells from cruisers find difficult to penetrate. So the major way they're going to do damage to you is by lighting fires, and you can help mitigate that by using that fire prevention skill to make it less likely that they're going to get a fire on you. And probably fires are the most dangerous thing that a cruiser is going to represent for you in the Izmail, especially since you only have 3 damage control parties to start off with. Now you can take some of Kedrov's skills to increase the number of damage control parties that you have available to you. I haven't really found that to be necessary, but it's a thing you can do. Of course, the Russian damage controls are very fast cycling. I think it takes them less than a minute after you use it to be available again, but the balance there is you only have a limited number. So as far as the build for the Ismail goes, that is what I would recommend, and those are my reasons for recommending it. Now let's talk about the other reason that I think people find this ship tricky to play, and really that's the main reason. That is that I think the citadel on this ship is quite exposed, quite easy for enemy battleships to penetrate. So if you're giving too wide of an angle, I think you're going to find that most Tier 5 battleships, most Tier 6 battleships, and I'm sure quite a few Tier 4 battleships, a lot of them really, are going to have no problem finding your citadel, penetrating it, and scoring massive damage. So angling on this ship is a must. That is pretty much the name of the game for any battleship really in the game, is maintaining a good angle to mitigate damage, but it's especially true for the Ismail. Now let's hold that thought for a moment and examine the play being made by this Fubuki here, because this is something I've talked about extensively. He's coming out here trying to torp me. Of course, I've spotted him, I've unloaded all of my guns into him, taken away most of his health, and now I was reversing. I assume he launched the torps, so I kick it into gear, start going forward, and sure enough, the torpedoes appear. All of them are going to miss, and that Fubuki has just traded away the majority of his hit points in an attempt to rush a battleship. What did that get him, I ask you? I mean, you be the judge of that. This is why I say don't try to rush battleships in destroyers. That is not your job. You're too important in a destroyer to throw away your ship or throw away that many of your hit points just to try to get some torpedoes on a battleship. It's a very high-risk play with a low reward. Your time would better be spent, or your time would be better spent either capping the cap circles in domination mode or spotting enemy ships for your team to shoot at. Any of those things would be better than trying to rush a battleship. And because that Fubuki is at such low health, this friendly cruiser is going to have no problem finishing him off. I'm not trying to be mean to that player or anything, I'm just saying, don't try to YOLO rush battleships in a destroyer. It's just not a good idea. Anyway, the angling on this ship. That's what we want to talk about next here. We're lining up some shots on this Furutaka, who, again, 10 kilometers out. We're going to have no problem hitting him. And devastating strike, he goes down for the second kill of the match. We're up to 84,000 damage. Let's talk a little bit about the turret setup on the Ismail. It's got 4 turrets with 3 guns each for a total of 12 guns. Massive broadside power there. They're 356mm guns, pretty common gun size to find on Tier 5 battleships, and they are incredibly capable guns. Their shell arcs are pretty flat, so if you're closer to an enemy ship, they are going to punch straight through the armor, and I think their penetration characteristics, shell velocity, all that is really quite excellent. Now, the way these turrets are set up, they're in sort of a center line down the ship. So you've got 1 turret at the very front, 1 turret at the very back, 2 in the middle. And you can see that that front turret is very easy to get on target, and then the other 3 you have to be presenting quite wide angle in order to get those on target. And I think the problem that most players run into is keeping that wide angle open for too long. which opens them up to punishment. You see how we fired that front turret at the Jaguar out there, and then the three rear ones that hit him and killed him, and now we're closing the angle again. That is what you want to shoot for when you are moving in toward enemy battleships, which is generally, I think, what you want to do in the Russian battleships. You want to slowly creep forward and sort of press the enemy. There's not much they can do to you when you're angled. You just move closer to them. They fire at you while you maintain a steep angle like this. After they fire, you open up your angle, you fire on them with all of your guns, and then you close it again. You do that, you'll find that they're not going to do too much to you, and you're probably going to do quite a bit of damage to them. Now, the way these turrets move, that front one, it's pointing toward, I guess, the port side of our ship. If it wants to turn to starboard, it just simply turns to the right, and it's there. Now, the other three turrets that are also pointing toward the port side of the ship, if they want to turn to starboard, they have to turn all the way around. They've got to turn to the left and then come around the other side of the ship. So if you're going toward an enemy battleship, you just got to pick a side of your ship to keep all of your turrets on and then open and close the angle. Now, if you're sailing away from an enemy battleship, the back three turrets are much easier to get on target since they have to rotate, I guess backwards if we're looking at the ship from the back. And you can flip your angle around, open and close it, get those three turrets on target on either side of the ship. So it is quite good at kiting. Now, right here, this is what we're talking about. That Normandy fired at us while our angle was closed. We immediately opened it up, fired a salvo at him, closed it again, and now that's where we're at with the closed angle. We are waiting for him to reload. Once he discharges his salvo, we will be able to open up our angle again and get all of our turrets on target, send another salvo into him, and hit him for probably quite a lot of damage because he is giving pretty nice broadside there. So we do hit him for a lot of damage, nearly kill him, and that right there is what I'm talking about. If you're moving in toward an enemy battleship, it's very easy to flip a little bit, get all the turrets on target, and then flip back. You do that, and I think you're probably going to have a fair bit of success in this ship, and you're probably going to think it's pretty fun, because this is a pretty powerful, pretty great ship. Like it a lot, and there goes that Normandy, ending the game with our victory. Hope you enjoyed it and found it somewhat helpful. If so, give it a like, and consider subscribing if you haven't already done that. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Goodbye.